thing in the Navy, that ships don't die. They just fade away only to be reborn again. And behold, behind me is INS Vikrant. Let's take a look inside this mean machine, the greatest ever engineering marvel that Indian Defence Forces have made. Let's step inside this mean machine that has been designed jointly by the design team of Navy at the Cochin shipyard. INS Vikrant is a 262-meter long aircraft carrier and 62-meter wide. Essentially, it's more than 2 football fields and much bigger than 2 hockey fields. It can also, if you have to say, according to the Navy, it's the size of 10 Olympic-sized swimming pools. That's the entire size of this entire deck. I'm right now at the flight deck of the INS Vikrant. Now, what is important is the fact that this is a ship which has got 15 decks. More than 1,300 compartments are there in this ship. The total length of the ship is the biggest one ever made. But what's most important is 76% of the ship has been made indigenously. Will be an important future addition to the strategic defense interest of the country. With a country which has got a 7,500-kilometer coastline, INS Vikrant will definitely play a huge role in securing the defense of the country as well. This 262-meter long aircraft carrier and 62-meter wide has over 15 decks and 1,300 compartments. But more importantly, more than these figures, is the patriotic flavor what one gets when one is on board the flight. Let's hear from Lieutenant Commander Siddharth. How does he feel to be on board? Lieutenant Commander Siddharth, so how does it feel about landing in the indigenous aircraft carrier?
It has always been a pleasure to be on board INS Vikrant. As you said, it is a great emotion and feeling when you land on board the aircraft carrier. Actually, it is called always, whenever you must heard some pilot saying that I'm landing on this or that airfield. But when an aircraft takes off from the aircraft carrier and after accomplishing the mission, he comes back, he says, I'm back to my mother. So that is the feeling we have for our parent.
What is the motto? I mean, our viewers also would like to hear from you. What is the motto of INS Vikrant?
Okay, so the motto is Jayam Sama Yudhis Pradha, which is taken from Rigved. So it goes on like we win over those who dare to fight. So that is the emotion and the feeling that is always behind entire men working for this beautiful aircraft carrier.
INS Vikrant is all set to dominate the Indian maritime strategic interest and also become a deterrent to the enemy forces. As we step down from this mean machine ever built for the Indian Navy, one thing is sure: the future of India is safe and secure.
A bohemian war machine that will secure India's maritime interests. One that will serve as a deterrent to enemy forces. The IAC-1, India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, will be inducted into the fleet of the Indian Navy on the 2nd of September in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where it will officially take the name INS Vikrant. Project first authorized for development and construction in 1999 by then Defence Minister George Fernandes, the aircraft carrier built by Cochin Shipyard Limited will catapult India into a small group of nations that can build these elite warships.
आप सबके लिए और हमारे लिए एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात है कि भारतीय नौसेना के इन हाउस वॉरशिप डिज़ाइन ब्यूरो जो आपको अभी भी बताया गया था कि वो पहले डायरेक्टरेट ऑफ नेवल डिज़ाइन कहलाता था, और ये कोचिन शिपयार्ड का ये प्रथम और सफल प्रयास है। एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर का डिज़ाइन और कंस्ट्रक्शन निसंदेह आकार और जटिलता यानी कि साइज़ और कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी के लिहाज से अभूतपूर्व है। यह हम सब के लिए एक ऐतिहासिक उपलब्धि है कि भारतीय नौसेना, कोचिन शिपयार्ड लिमिटेड, ओरिजिनल इक्विपमेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, MSMEs, इंडियन इंडस्ट्रीज़ के ये संयुक्त प्रयास से ये उपलब्धि हासिल हुई है। विक्रांत के निर्माण में भारत के 18 राज्य और यूनियन टेरिटरीज़ के विभिन्न स्थानों में जैसे अम्बाला, बेंगलुरु, दमन एंड दीव, हैदराबाद, कोलकाता, इंदौर, जालंधर, कच्छ, कोटा, नई दिल्ली और पुणे इत्यादि क्षेत्रों से जो इक्विपमेंट बने हैं वो इस जहाज़ में लगाए गए हैं। इससे ये साफ जाहिर होता है यह एक होल ऑफ नेशन एफर्ट है, और इसका मतलब यह भी है कि विक्रांत के निर्माण में भारत के विभिन्न क्षेत्रों और संस्कृति के लोगों का बहुत महत्वपूर्ण योगदान रहा है। इसलिए मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि विक्रांत भारत का एक एकता का प्रतीक है, जिसमें प्रत्येक व्यक्ति ने जिसने इसमें काम किया है, जिसने निशान और तिरंगा को ऊंचा रखने के उद्देश्य से काम किया है।
In 2001, the first graphic illustration showing a 32,000-ton short takeoff but arrested recovery design was prepared. After much deliberations, the aircraft carrier project finally received a formal government approval in January 2003. By then, design updates called for a 37,500-ton carrier to operate the MiG-29K fighter jets. Over the course, the design was updated for a 40,000-ton carrier. Originally planned as an air defense ship, the designation of the vessel was changed to an indigenous aircraft carrier in the year 2006. Final revisions to the design increased the displacement of the carrier from 37,500 tons to over 40,000 tons. The length of the ship was also increased from 252 meters to 262 meters. The aircraft carrier can support up to 30 military aircraft, including 24 to 26 fixed-wing combat aircraft. Designed to primarily support the MiG-29K fighter jets, the carrier can also carry 10 Kamov Ka-31 or Westland Sea-King helicopters.
During this particular time, when we had our one aircraft carrier under maintenance, all effort has been made to make it operational at the earliest. All effort has been put to make the new aircraft carrier commissioned despite COVID, and we have a deployment of mission-based deployments, in which case we have deployed our ships all around the various choke points and importance and maintained continuous surveillance with our available capability. However, having additional aircraft carriers will always provide the deterrence, and that is what the nation and the Navy is looking for.
To protect the sovereignty of our nation in the blue waters, India opted for a 3-carrier fleet consisting of 1 carrier battle group stationed on each seaboard and a 3rd carrier held in reserve. Vikrant is the first aircraft carrier manufactured as a part of this plan of the Indian Navy. The strategic interest of building such an infrastructure was to safeguard both the east and western flanks of the Indian peninsula, to protect its economic interests and mercantile traffic, and provide humanitarian platforms in times of disasters, since a carrier can provide a self-generating supply of fresh water, medical assistance, or engineering expertise to populations in need for assistance. Vikrant is the first aircraft carrier to be designed by the Directorate of Naval Design of the Indian Navy, and the first warship to be designed by the Cochin Shipyard. Its construction involved the participation of a large number of private and public firms. 26,000 tons of 3 different types of special steel for the hull, flight deck and floor compartments were used for its construction. Sourced entirely from different steel plants in India, INS Vikrant would be the first ship of the Indian Navy to be built completely using domestically produced steel, a project that envisions India's dream of Atmanirbharta. The switchboard and steering gear were manufactured in Mumbai and the air conditioning system manufactured in Pune, and the electrical systems sourced from Gujarat, making this project the pinnacle of India's capabilities in public-private partnership to boost India's defense prowess.
There is a need to develop our job as a nation, and the Navy is to provide maritime security to the nation, and therefore all efforts are to make India a strong and a powerful nation, and that is the whole thrust of our government. And therefore commissioning this aircraft carrier will be a great event for us, and it will provide the required deterrence which is required considering the growing strength of our neighbors and the matter of the strength in the maritime capability, and therefore this is a very, very big event for us, and we need to continue on this.
The keel for Vikrant was laid by then Defence Minister A.K. Antony at the Cochin shipyard on 28 February 2009. The ship was built using a modular construction method with 874 blocks joined for the hull. So by the time the keel was laid, 423 blocks weighing over 8,000 tons were already completed. On 29 December 2011, the completed hull of the carrier was first floated out of its dry dock at CSL, with its displacement at over 14,000 tons. Interior works and fittings on the hull were carried out until the second half of 2012, when it was then to be dry docked for integration with its propulsion and power generation systems. By late 2012, work commenced for the next stage of construction, which included the installation of the integrated propulsion system, the superstructure, the upper decks, the cabling, sensors and weapons. In July 2013, then Defence Minister A.K. Antony announced that Vikrant would be launched on the 12th of August at the Cochin shipyard. After the launch, Vikrant was redocked for the second phase of construction. In which the ship would be fitted with various weapons and sensors, and the propulsion system, flight deck and aircraft complex were to be integrated. By October 2015, the construction of the hull was close to 98% complete, with the flight deck construction underway. 2 years later, in May 2017, the carrier's fitting out was 62% complete, with trials of the auxiliary systems scheduled for later that year. In February 2020, all major structural and outfitting work was declared complete. By September that year, Vikrant had completed harbour trials, while the basin trials started from October 2020 to check propulsion, electric transmission and shafting systems. But the big day in the development of INS Vikrant was the 30th of November 2020, when the warship completed basin trials, paving the way for its first sea trials, the final phase for India's first indigenous aircraft carrier. On the 4th of August 2021, the very first sea trials began. The first phase of the sea trials was successfully completed on the 8th of August. The second phase of the trials was conducted on the 24th of October 2021, followed by the third phase from the 17th of January 2022, both of which were completed successfully. On the 10th of July this year, the fourth and the final phase of the sea trials was successfully completed. This phase involved integrated trials of most of the equipment and systems aboard INS Vikrant, including portions of the aviation facilities complex.
Flight deck of the ship has one landing runway of 191 meter and two takeoff runways. Two restraining gears have been provided to facilitate takeoff of fighter aircraft. The ship has been provided with two deck edge lifts for movement of shipborne aircraft from hangar to flight deck and vice versa. 3 sets of arrestor wires have been provided for recovery of the aircraft. In addition, there are 6 dedicated spots for operation of helicopters. The hangar deck is the area in the belly of the ship where aircraft and helicopters are parked and maintained. There are 2 turntables for changing the direction of aircraft and helicopters to facilitate ease of their parking inside the hangar. A drop-down metallic fire curtain has been provided in the middle of the hangar to isolate one section from the other to limit the spread of fire in case of an accident. In this time-lapse video, you will see the operation of one of the aircraft lift with MiG-29K aircraft on it.
With the making of INS Vikrant, the country has not just made its own aircraft carrier, but has bolstered a massive drive to make key components that are integral to defense advancement. Officers in the Cochin shipyard are confident they can build a fully functional aircraft carrier in a span of just 7 years. INS Vikrant ushers in an age of rich experience of advanced technology in defense. The future of Indian naval defense system will forever be written on the shoulder of experience India had in building its greatest war machine. A Republic TV special report.